What's up guys, the Lazy Goldmaker. Today we're taking a look at the last profession I haven't looked at yet for Wrath, engineering. Now generally engineering is a profession that focuses on useful stuff that you can use yourself and that only other engineers can use. Both consumables, explosives, and some gear. And that's the case in this expansion as well. Most of what you can craft is either only usable by other engineers or bind and pickup or both. Which is obviously going to significantly hamper your ability to make gold with this profession. There are, however, a couple of recipes with gold making potential that we will take a look at. There are some that are important to take a look at. Now, the first category we'll look at is gear. Now, for gear, there's a bunch of goggles that you can only equip yourself. The most interesting ones are these two epic weapons. Guns. They can be equipped by anyone. The armor-plated combat shotgun, I don't think anyone's going to buy this. It's extremely expensive. It's literally a gun meant for tanks, warrior tanks. They're never going to spend this much gold on the ranged slot. The Nesting Warrior 4000 is more interesting. We might see some hunters actually buy this one, since it impacts their damage. This is the DPS gun. But once again, I only expect hunters to be even slightly considering this. Outside of that, there's really not much. Everything else requires engineering, which generally limits the market so much that you're not going to make much gold with it. For gear, people are going to craft it themselves. People are usually willing to craft it themselves when it comes to gear because they only have to do it once. Utility items. Well, there's a lot of utility items in engineering. A couple that are a little bit relevant here. The scopes that attach to guns. These can often sell for a little bit. The profit is usually very low though. Very low. And then you have other stuff. You have portable mailboxes. You have Jeeves that creates a repair bot. All that stuff. That stuff's always good. People are going to want portable mailboxes and portable whatever. And even if they have engineering, it takes time to craft them. Maybe you're not willing to spend the time crafting. That's often been the case in the past. I made a lot of gold in Classic selling goblin sapper charges, for instance. So there's that. Some of these it's going to be possible to make money with. You also have the ammunition, the bullets, or both arrows and bullets that some people might be able to sell those for hunters as well. But yeah, and then you have the new sapper charges, which as far as I know, these are good for speedruns, and everyone is going to be an engineer in Wrath of the Lich King, almost everyone, because of those profession-specific bonuses that are really, really strong. So this is interesting. This obviously means that you want to go a Goblin Engineer. These Gnomish, PoE, whatever, are just, who cares? I don't think many people care about this. People mostly care about the damage throughput. Might see most people go Goblin. Either way, I made a lot of gold selling sapper charges in Classic. I think you can do it again because they take a long time to craft, and you're going to need like stacks and stacks of them, and people are often not willing to craft stacks and stacks. They're willing to craft gear because that's one time, one craft bar, one round of collecting materials. Doing the same with consumables, a lot more annoying, which is why I believe we might be able to get some profits with that. Now, lastly, we have one big recipe down at the bottom here. The Mechano-Chopper or the Mechano-Hog, depending on which faction you are. This is the good stuff. The first vanity mount they ever added to the game. You need all of these vendor materials that are really expensive. They can only be bought from the vendor. Interestingly, the Elementium plated exhaust pipe, the last one. That's limited edition or limited supply. So every time someone buys one, the vendor is out, and you have to wait until they respawn. Apparently, they respawn about anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, is what WoW comments seems to suggest. So you're not going to be completely impossible, but that one's definitely going to be worth more than the vendor price early on. Because I expect a lot of people will want to get this vanity mount. It's a pretty cool one. It has a sidecar, but it's like, I don't remember it's like 10 or 14,000 gold in vendor materials. And then in addition to that, you have all of the other materials, Titan steel bars, Arctic fur, stuff that's going to be very expensive. Down the line, you can get the vendor materials from Ulduar, but in the beginning, you can't. I expect there's going to be a lot of rich players who want to get this to flaunt their wealth. There's a lot of GDKP players with multiple tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of gold. So yeah, you need to be exalted with either Horde Expedition or Alliance Vanguard to get the recipe, and it's expensive to craft, which means there's always going to be a barrier to entry. This one I think is going to be profitable for most of Wrath, but it's going to be very profitable if you're among the first players to get this on your realm and you can sell the crafting service. So yeah. Now, this is also the only recipe that we care about that doesn't come from the trainers, so it makes the reputation grinder what to focus on pretty easy for engineers. If you want to focus on gold making, then crank out either Alliance, Vanguard, or Horde Expedition rep as much as you can, and you can get the recipe and you can potentially make some gold. I think that's the main way you can make like a lot of gold with engineering. Is going to be the choppers and the hogs. Everything is going to be potentially very high competitiveness, because there's going to be a lot of engineers. Almost everyone's going to be an engineer, in fact. And the recipes that are that you can potentially sell, they're cheap to craft, very easy to get. I don't think you'll be making loads of profit with any of them. A little bit. You can make a little bit with some mollies or some scopes or whatever, but they're not going to move the needle to a significant degree. If you like want to go from multiple tens of thousands of gold, if you were going to make that, then it's going to be getting the Mechano-Chopper or the Mechano-Hog early on and selling as many of these bad boys as you can. Price is definitely going to be more than 20,000 gold. How much more? I mean, only time will tell, but they're going to be expensive. So yeah, that's what I do with engineering. I think overall engineering is not the most profitable profession at all. But the mount is super exciting and going to be very fun. Of course, once Ulduar rolls around, prices are going to fall on the supply items, because they're now going to be farmed from the instance as well. They drop from Flame Leviathan and XT and some of the other bosses in there. Either way, that's my view of engineering. That's the last of them done. We'll probably be doing a video where we just rank them all next. And I'll give you my thoughts on what I think is the best total gold making approach to Wrath. Thanks for watching.